Okay, what they could ever say before. And welcome. It's Good Morning Anambra Tuesday episode, and we're glad to be counted amongst the living this morning. Welcome. Let's begin with the press review.
Good morning. Behind schedule.
All right, quickly, let's begin with the press review. All right, you're welcome to the press review. My name is Nonya Mokoye.
Of course, my name is Obinna Ikechi. Good morning.
All right, as a tradition, we'll begin with taking a look at some of the stories making their headlines on ABS website. Of course, we have other papers which will come right behind. Now, on the ABS website, let's see stories trending there. Absenteeism, Anambra State Local Government Service Commission suspends the head of local government administration, Newi South, others. Presidential visit, Soludo comments in the Anambra for warm reception for Tinubu. Integration of Anambra State into National Rail Master Plan will boost socio-economic activities. That's coming from a market leader. Anambra governorship election, activists to be tasked INEC on free, fair, credible polls. Nemo youths protest death of member after release from police custody. Now, 2025 UTME, JAM investigates mass failure following public outcry. Humanitarian aid blockade. UN raises alarm over threat of famine in Gaza. And quickly, we take the Daily Times before we comment on any of these issues. Fubara can't decide for Rivers whether or not to return as governor. That's coming from the resident. So whether he likes it or not, he should be getting ready. Peradventure is called back. All right, more on the Daily Times. Saraki, 7-man committee to organize PDP NEC meeting May, National Convention August. 4 die over cholera outbreak in Plateau Village. West Africa security and political economy. That's on page 17 of the paper. LP begs Tinubu to rein in Governor Oti over alleged threats to Abure, National Working Committee members. 2027 doom awaits PDP without reforms. That's coming from Wiki. And insecurity, Opebolo escalates war against cultism. All right, that's the much we are trending this morning on the Daily Times newspaper. Obinda, I don't know whether you're seeing what I'm saying.
Yeah, these are developments. Across the country, the various. It's just what it is in Nigeria. A lot of things that are actually heartbreaking. The situation in River State, one keeps wondering how does the federal government get the power to remove a sitting governor, one who was
duly elected
or something like that. So it just continues like that. Fubara making statement yesterday that his mind no did again, like he's not really so interested again in becoming governor. If they want to keep it, they should keep it. But we won't know how true is that. Probably it's just like say psychological ploy, not to be so desperate about the situation in River State or something like that. Then Wike coming up to say he's ready for peace. Statement like that are things that are quite bewildering. What does it mean by statement like that? So,
all right, and governor is actually thanking Ndi Anambra for the warm reception accorded to the president last week.
No, things like that happen. The president visiting Anambra State is a sign that probably Anambra is one of those states that actually catches eye, or he catches his fancy, the
Okay.
development, construction. So, but basically, I do not think people will come out if the governor has not been doing so. Lots of infrastructure, lot of things coming up in Anambra State. So probably people who see that, oh, the governor is really very interested in us developing. Of course, they always
So
come
the
out.
mantra stands, Anambra is rising. All right,
Yes,
let's quickly take a look at the Punch newspaper.
All right, on Punch newspaper, we have 54.9 trillion naira budget. Federal government, World Bank at odds over funding strategy. And we also have a kick out to that. Bank fears government may resort to CBN emergency funds. Fault budget parameters. Minister counters. And then we also have, still on the Punch newspaper, Lagos APC aspirants protest today over local government primaries, and that's on page 13. Push to crash, drug prices gains fake approval. United Kingdom unveils plan to slash annual immigration by 100,000, and that's on page 13. Buyers to set to immortalize Clark amid tributes from Jonathan and Diri. Restructuring, federal government deploys special teams to underperforming discos. Why Tinubu will defeat PDP again in 2027? This coming from the man Wiki. Saraki heads 7-man PDP reconciliation panel. Then also have oil drilling to resume in northern Nigeria. That is coming from the NNPCL, and that's on page 27 of the Punch newspaper. Then quickly moving to Daily Independent. Right there we have PDP will cease to exist by end of 2025. Ganduje predicts. Fubara lacks genuine capacity to broker peace, says Yesom Wike. Kick out to that once PDP against repeating missteps of 2023 vows to challenge NEC meeting outcome without Anyang. And they also have experts list obstacles to federal government 2.5 million barrels per day oil production target. Also have NCAA draws flag after Asaba Airport runway incident. Airport falls below aviation standards according to experts. Fence vandalized, washed out, coming from concessionaires. Then we also have NNPC to resume oil drilling in the north. Ojulari assures federal government moves to revitalize Nigeria's electricity distribution sector. FEC okays 17 underwriters for Tinubu. Shetima others life insurance. They also have Igbenidion, Autumn, Olafeso, Ugwani, 35 others inducted as PDP board members, as board of trustees. By Clark lead for others, said Jonathan Diri, Dixon, Pandeb, INC, IYC pay tribute. And then finally on the Daily Independent, 25 years after NDLEA gets forensic labs in Abuja and Enugu, and that's on the Daily Independent. Quickly on the Guardian newspaper.
All right, on the Guardian we have World Bank admits Nigeria's economic progress, says prices remain high. Other stories making their headlines in front of the Vanguard. Freight forwarders write Tinubu as cartels sell e-call-up code for 400,000 naira. US-China agreed to roll back tariffs for 90 days. Edo governor seeks arrest of new black movement president Ese Kako. UTMA jammed to address technical issues as 8,391 candidates threaten class action. Wire candidates anxious as IPOP declares sit at home on May 30 in Southeast. A suspension court had contempt other applications in Natasha's suit today. NMPCL to resume oil drilling in North as production threatens 2025 budget. Lagos LP suspends chair, dissolves ward executives as Abure faction tackles OT. 2027 amid pushback, zoning complaints, others, PDP explores reconciliation. FG to overhaul underperforming discourse amid lingering IBEDC takeover. All right, that's the much story coming from the Vanguard. Now, let's take a look at the story of JAMB. and what actually happened. In fact, yesterday, it seems like a row all over the social media, not just Facebook, over the WhatsApp platform. In fact, it was like a discussion panel that I experienced on the WhatsApp platform, where parents are, saying a lot of things, that something must have happened, that this cannot just happen, that there must be something that they're not telling us.
The thing is, the issue with JAMB has been there for years, but people were reluctant to talk about that. When someone actually is very confident that he or she knows what he wrote, or the answers or something like that, then when you come out and you come back, you see your scores, and it's quite shocking. So I also had an experience sometime when I thought I was so confident, I wrote so well and all that, and I saw my JAMB score 146. So, but I was like, okay, probably they knew better, something like. So it's not just, so we keep hearing this all the time. So, but now it's more like people have experienced it more on a larger scale.
Some people are even calling out JAMB, that the government to scrap JAMB. That WAEC is okay for people to.
The CEO for Educare, I think one Alex Onya, very popular on X, that's Twitter. He's calling a class action against against JAMB. Yesterday he was on TV, one of the televisions, discussing that with Fabian Emmanuel, and lots of strong discussions about that. So, but it's just on not INEC this time, but JAMB to be very transparent about. They need to expose their market.
What's so funny in this country, things will keep happening, but because it has not happened to the high and mighty, nothing will be done about it. But now I think a lot of people were affected. A lot of people that are up there are equally affected. And they've started, they are coming out now to protest against that. But I added that WAEC should equally be looked into, because I knew somebody that is an all-A student. From the one that boy started school, he has ever scored below 95 as average. This boy, they seized his WAEC, said they are suspecting fraud or something like that. At the end of the day, they did not release his physics. And this boy happened to be best student in physics in Anambra State in an Olympiad handled that year. So you can imagine, a lot of things have been going on and people kept quiet. So let's see whether this one will be,
to an extent, I will not blame you, because even if you had spoken out there, okay, remember the one of the young lady, the girl from here in
Anambra State,
and somehow JAMB, because they claimed they were the ones, and these things happened. So probably if you had spoken out there, JAMB may have, even if you're speaking, there may be a lot of gaslighting and all that, then you're not sure of yourself, because how do you know the marking scheme? How do you know how JAMB marked? But the most bad thing that they've given you a score, and then coming out to say JAMB didn't give you the right score, may have, it actually did cause a lot of reactions that may not be, then you begin to question your own mental health. Did you make the right decision and all that? So that's what happened. So, but now it has happened to people on a larger scale. So that's why people are actually reacting.
Well, the thing there is that JAMB should look inwards, and know what they are doing or where they have erred and make amends. All we're saying is stronger, institutions in Nigeria, for Nigeria to be a better nation in every aspect. All right, let's quickly move to the Daily Trust newspaper. In front of the Daily Trust, we have World Bank queries NMPCL's remittance of subsidy proceeds. Now expect electoral reforms before 2027, INEC chair speaking. And Danjuma, Damagun's tenure, National Secretary position threatened PDP NEC convention. We also have Flying Eagles dethrone Senegal qualify for World Cup. Boko Haram launches attack on another military base in Borno. Man sentenced to death for killing friend over cap. Will continue oil search in North. Ojulari speaks. Bandits abduct 5 persons from Plateau Market. And now quickly, the Nigerian Tribune.
And on the Nigerian Tribune, we have Nigeria's economy, World Bank, Nigeria's economy needs to generate better jobs and reduce poverty. And the kicker to that commends Nigeria's growth trajectory. Says economy recorded fast growth in about a decade in 2024. One space of growth to accelerate further. Projects inflation to fall to average of 22.1% in 2025, and that's on page 6 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Then still on Nigerian Tribune, we'll have Wike wants PDP over 2027 presidential ticket, and says Fubara visited him with 2 APC governors. All right, federal government to overhaul underperforming discourse. That's still on the Nigerian Tribune. UK ends overseas social care visas in major immigration shake-up. Tax reforms. Reps set up conference committee to harmonize with the Senate. Unijust Professor Diwuna succeeds Oshodeke as ASU president. And then we also have federal government raises 1.093 trillion via Sukuk funds to fund infrastructure and development, according to the DMO. And Mwabara declares PDP revival as BOT inaugurates new members. And these are the major stories on the Nigerian Tribune.
All right,
quickly on the blueprint, the last but not the least.
Okay.
We have Tinubu reforms restoring stability to Nigeria's economy, according to the World Bank. And then also have 2025 UTM JAM engages experts to look into complaints. Then 2027 PDP will rise again, says Nwabara Damagon. Party dead, John APC, Ganduje tells Lamido. And then we also have Nigeria has repaid $3.4 billion IMF COVID-19 loan. This is coming from Idris. CBN disowns fraudulent claims, fictitious contractors. And then on the sports, we have Flying Eagles qualify for World Cup after dramatic win over Senegal. So these are the major headlines in front of the Blueprint newspaper.
All right. We've seen a lot of stories virtually in all the papers this morning about PDP. Some people were prophesying. Let me call it prophecy because they saw the future, or they are seeing the future. They're saying that PDP will not survive by 2027, while yet other groups are prophesying positively that PDP will rise again. I don't know which one to believe.
No, over the years, since the inception of Nigeria, they've always been political parties that thought they would be there forever. At a point, the PDP didn't anticipate what is going to happen now. They claim to have the structure to stay in Nigeria for 60 years, but somehow the APC came. Over the years, we have.
But come to think of it, who are these APCs and PDPs? Are they not the same people?
That's the point. That's the point I'm trying to make. Over the years, we've had from the 1960s, we have the likes of the AEG, the NCNC, the OPCA, the NPC. Most of them had probably the mindset. They hoped that they would be there for over the years, but one or two political structures will always come up and distort what is there. The APC is there already. But on the long run, you can't tell. Something can happen, and of course, they will be shelved. Nobody saw the Labour Party coming up in the last election.
And it shook the country.
The likes of Ifeanyi also did win with the YPP point. So these are the things. So sometimes once you're in power, you have the mindset that you're going to stay here forever. But one or two political shake-ups, and then you guys are wondering whether. So that's what is happening in the PDP. So if the PDP, it's on the PDP and their BOT and their the neck to be serious about what they really want. It's going to be difficult because the president and the APC now is a party that that's so serious about making sure that the whole country is the APC.
It's APC.
So that's it.
All right. Now, look at what World Bank is saying here in front of the Nigerian Tribune. World Bank says Nigeria's economy needs to generate better jobs, reduce poverty. And let me quickly take a look at the comment there. That's the riders there. Comments Nigeria's growth trajectory. Says economy recorded fastest growth in about a decade in 2024. Wants a pace of growth to accelerate further. Projects inflation to fall to average of 22.1% in 2025. Very soon we'll be getting into the first quarter of 2025, and the cost of living is still very much high. I don't know. This is what we want. We want poverty to reduce. Everybody prays for that, because the hardship is really biting hard on everyone, even the rich, the poor, the aged, the young, everybody. And we pray that if all the professionals, if they know what to do about this whole situation, all the economists that we have around, if they know what they can do for Nigerian poverty to come down, at least to reduce to the level that the common man can afford a meal a day.
Sometimes, for example, last night I ate noodles with my neighbor, and we bought egg. One is about 250
naira, and that used to be the price for one crate of egg.
Or even half crate at the point when the thing, and we were complaining, saying things were bad or something. So it's actually very deplorable. There's nothing that we're going to say that has not been said. You're talking to the government. When a government is really not serious about or let me not say serious, intentional, positively intentional about the livelihood of the citizens, it's a problem. When you talk about subsidies, you see a government.
But now we can't stop talking. We can't stop talking because.
No, I'm not saying we should. I'm not saying.
No, I understand what you're saying, but we keep pleading. Who knows? One day, something may happen, and positively we'll smile. Yeah, because the thing is really biting. Every day you go to the market, but the one that I don't know whether people have, seen it the way I'm seeing it. Each time you go to malls to shop, there are things that you may have bought maybe last month. You come back to, yes, you don't see them again, showing that they sell, but they can't restock.
Yeah, very, very obvious. So it's everywhere. It's touching every facet. Even you see the churches taking more collections than before. The transport is actually that's another. If you're going with via public transport, it's on your neck. So it's affecting, like you said, all the facets, like nothing. And the government is not really into when it talks of subsidy or something. You see a government official coming out, say, the government cannot afford. The government cannot afford, or your citizens. Is it your citizens that will be able to afford some of these things? So it's a problem. The government has to be intentional. You have to subsidize a lot of things. Transport is there, food is there. You have to curb insecurity. You have to provide basic infrastructure. I was in Benin during the weekend. You could see that all the roads leading from the western part of the country to the Midwest and all upwards, these roads are bad. So the only places you're confident of seeing manageable roads or good roads are in the eastern part of the country. So what are the other parts of the country doing? So these are some of the basics. We can't afford food because of the insecurity in some parts of the country. We cannot.
Foods cannot be moved as before.
Roads are bad. So these are some of
and herders, farmers clash is still on.
These things are just basic. The government should just provide the basic things. Nigerians are hardworking people. They can sustain. But when the government is unwilling,
or make even the environment conducive for them to thrive,
even if people pay taxes. We're talking about, remember yesterday after the program, we're talking about people being taxed in places like Enugu, here in Anambra. But you made a confession, you said, this state is looking way beyond what it looks like. Because when they collect this money, people are
put it to work.
So, but it's a different thing here in Nigeria. Collect money, you're not seeing what they're doing with the money, and the yada, but you see the children of people.
And you remember we had toll gates for long years. And our roads are still deplorable. All right, let's see. I don't know what Wike mean by saying that why Tinubu will defeat PDP again in 2027. I thought he's making peace with PDP, or he's even backing them to ensure that they come up stronger again. Why should he be saying this if actually he has gone back to PDP, spirit, soul, and body?
The thing about Yesom Wike is that his relationship with the PDP and the PDP now is that it's no longer about the political party for Yesomike. It's all about him at the moment. He has the structure, he has the connection very close to seemingly very close to the president. So whatever, we see what's happening in River State. He has, there are lots of applications that he has in major hand. So he's in PDP as currently as his birthright, and to an extent. So for somebody who is very egoistic, you cannot blame him a lot because, of course, he funded the PDP for a long time, especially while he was governor of River State. He funded the PDP for a very long time. He felt that, since I had actually funded this party for a long time, he should have. He felt entitled to the PDP giving him the presidential ticket, but the PDP had defaulted, taking it up to the
defaulted the things.
So it actually it still pains him because.
But he's been in PDP. He should know how their things work. He should know how they work.
And he was even close to clinching the ticket.
The ticket.
So he just didn't go the way, and he breaks that. So now he's going hard on them, telling them that whatever he did in the past, I've not forgiven you guys. And even if this party is going to survive, it is very much dependent on me. And no matter how you want to say, someone should not have that much power, someone shouldn't be that influential. Yesowike is a very influential man at the moment. He's in the PDP, he's in the APC. He has everything.
It takes.
So it's just on the PDP to calm down. Of course, they've inaugurated and put in more members in the BOT to see if things can actually work out. If the things work out, very fine for the PD, but if it doesn't, then.
All right, I don't know. Director, could you please put back the Punch newspaper on the screen? Let's take a look at the picture in front of the Punch newspaper that's paying a tribute to Edwin Clark. The elder statesman that passed, and it's just like it's like Edwin Clark and Adebanjo. They passed the same week. And now this picture is showing the casket being carried, and of course, Biels are set to immortalize Clark amid tributes from Jonathan and Deary. And I don't know, Edwin Clark has been.
Himself, you just mentioned the man, Adebanjo. We found out that he was also talking about the man Adebanjo. He worked really very close with the man Awolowo before he was in prison and all that. I think even after. So these men, J.P. Clark, a writer, a political activist, a great man, did a lot to make sure that things are better for Nigeria. I'm not saying he didn't make it.
I know. When I read something about Edwin Clark, I found out that Edwin Clark was one man that worked. In fact, when you talk about true Nigerians, these are true Nigerians because he worked in the southwest, southeast, all over the countries, everywhere. And when you talk of knowing the problem of this country, they know. I know.
Most of something about the politicians of the old days, they move. I mean, because sometimes when I hear, for example, Awolowo had been to other parts of the country. In fact, I think he was giving a doctorate degree in UNN. I hope to be. I remember I read something about that, and you begin to wonder, then, amidst how bad the roads were or something, these people were still traveling on the road. He had, so these guys really did a lot for the country. I'm not saying they didn't make mistakes. They actually did make mistakes, but you could see the genuinity, the desire that Nigeria actually works, but somehow it has not worked so far. Sometimes it seems like it's working. Then in just a few years, we see ourselves.
All right.
So we need lots of people like.
We pray that God will be with the family, and there is one thing I've come to realize about death is that there is no time one dies that want the person to live,
because once a child is born, he's old enough to die.
Yes, you yourself, even if the person is old, you still cry because you're going to miss the person.
the person.
I remember when I lost my dad, 85 actually. You know, but the thing is that you keep missing the person. You feel you want to see him again. So to the family, we pray that God will console them, you know, at this trying moment. And to Nigerians, they've lost really, you know, people that they can run back to seek, you know, counsel from. You know, Nigerians have lost great men, and we pray that Nigeria will learn from all the legacies left behind by these ones. Actually, this is where we're going to wrap up. Oh, Obinna.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining us. Apologies for starting a lot behind schedule. We actually did experience a rainstorm, so for us to still keep our equipment so that you still watch us tomorrow. One of the reasons why we started late, right? So my name is Obinna.
And my name is Nonye Nwokoye. Thank you so much for watching. Let's do this again tomorrow.